the nitty gritty about what's going on with Manchester United, which I think throws a spanner into a lot of works regarding the perspectives about this game. Mama Flossie, fantastic to see you. Hope you're doing well. Um, and early doors as well. Big ups to this guy,
Big up
West
early
Ham
doors.
United content creator. Do be sure to go show him some love and subscribe to his channel,
Mm,
which, by the way, fantastic new logo as well, by the way, early doors.
yeah, I like that one. Yeah, it's
Slick,
nice.
very slick looking logo. Um, but all of that good stuff.
So,
We have got a, as I've put it in the description, if you will, the heavyweight mid-table clash. Two big teams, say lurking further down the table than they should be.
you mean
Man,
drowning?
wow.
Lurking,
United,
drowning.
Chelsea may be a bit more lurking because there's some goods, there's some bads, there's some things you want to work on, but there's also some positives to take away from your scenarios. For United, it's if one thing isn't the problem, it's the other. And there's always something to talk about with Manchester United that's controversial, that's out there, that's, you know, got everyone's attentions on everyone's lips.
Yeah, it's just
And
stop.
there's one thing that I've got to bring up as well about what's happened recently with the press conferences regarding the leaks from the dressing room about half the dressing rooms being lost, half of this, half of that, half the players they don't back Eric, they don't back Ten Hag, they think he's training them too hard, they think they're running too much in training. All of those journalists that posted those stories got banned from the press conference today. I believe I think it was today, yeah. They got banned. Your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a justified action?
Yes, because I have to say, okay, well, just speaking just as a football fan, not as a Chelsea fan, not as a Man United fan. I think the fact that everyone's dirty washing gets aired out
Mm,
completely, and I'm not gonna lie, if you think of all the stupidities in football, right, and you can look at every single club's had something. Chelsea, their off the pitch antics. Man United's players, the off the pitch antics, the feeds with Jadon Sancho.
mm,
You can even go back to with early doors in the chat. You can even go back a year or so ago with people like Kurt Zuma at West Ham with the infamous cat incident. When will this stupidity stop?
mm,
Please, like, and I'm not, and I mean this as a real football fan in terms of when will our games just stop? In terms of the English football game, just stop being embarrassing. When
mm,
can we just stop being the laughing stock of Europe in the terms of okay, we've got the best league, but it's like having the best car in the world, but you've got 45 clowns to look after it and two clowns
mm,
to drive it.
mm,
You know what I mean? Every week the officials are in the. We used to say VAR would keep the officials out of the news. That makes them even more part of it.
mm,
Like without going into any particular specific incident too much, this clownery needs to stop. Are we the best league in the world? No, we're not. We're the biggest joke in the world. The only reason why we're anywhere near the biggest is because we've got the most money. Remember
mm.
that.
Yeah, well, it's true with the money talk about the Premier League. I'll give this one glance that it's Man United's got to be the only club in world football where you actually get all of these dressing room leaks about players feeling like they're working too hard or that they're doing too much running and training. I don't know if it's ever happened at any other club in world football history where players are throwing their toys out the pram because they're running too much in training. I'm thinking, what kind of complaint is that? If this is to do with fitness and playing too many games, I mean, we hear it from all other parts and people who are managers, players alike in these all of these other clubs in the league. So we play too many games, and maybe there is a case to argue that there is just too many meaningless games being played. Just stick to some, a trifecta of competitions, and all your international stuff Let that happen at the end of the season. No silly international breaks, none of this extra competitions or qualifier games for other competitions happening mid-season. No talks about adding more competitions. Maybe there's an argument for that, but I just can't understand it with these players deciding, you know what? I feel like I'm working too hard. You don't
Uh,
see any other players going out to the media and talking about this. And Nemanja, and now this also ties in just real quickly. Jadon Sancho was name dropped by Nemanja Matic on the first season that guy joined the club under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Matic said him, Jadon Sancho, and Paul Pogba were the ones that were constantly turning up to training late. Also, Nemanja's come out and said that Jadon Sancho had disciplinary issues the second he joined the club. But apparently, we're all player FC. So when Ten Hag says he's not giving enough in training, he's not well disciplined. So actually, you've now got an extra person. You had it with Pep at Man City. Man City said, no, this kid's he's not got quite the model professional mentality up in his head. You've got when he goes to Dortmund. Dortmund CEOs have said that he's got some disciplinary issues. Comes to United, we're sort of like, oh well, the mental health problems. Take a 3 month break, all of that stuff. He's hit he's hot and cold, from game to game. He does or doesn't play. Then this comes up with the whole like Ten Hag versus Sancho. Ten Hag says he's not training well enough. Sancho comes out and says, "What the hell are you talking about?" All he has to do is say sorry, act like a model professional. He will get back into training, and things just don't spiral out of control. But now we have all like it feels like this whole thing's just exploded. It's just exploded,
a
and now
lack of
we're getting
professionalism.
there's all sorts of people coming out from all different angles saying, "Oh yeah, let me tell you about this time. Let me tell me about that time." Nemanja Matic say Paul Pogba, Jadon Sancho, they racked up tons and tons of fines. We wanted to use those fines as a sort of a little kitty to go out and have a night out as like a team, yeah, team building um, time out in London or something. There's
Spend
like
the
a
square box, yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's like there's something like that. But it's like well, there you go. I mean, Jadon Sancho, for anybody that sided with Jadon Sancho, I mean, straight away, Nemanja Matic has put everybody in the mud. He's put everybody in the mud. And this is the thing, is now it's coming out that all, apparently half the squad, we don't like Ten Hag for what he's doing, we don't like his play style, we're not sure about... Rasmus Højlund, right? I think it's fair to say everybody sort of has their, praises, but some other judgments on Rasmus Højlund, a young kid, still trying to come through, bed himself into the Premier League. Done well in the Champions League, got to find the mark in the Premier League. Apparently, the guy gets signed, and people are like, I'm not sure about this Rasmus guy. Why did we sign him? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
who the fuck are you? Talking about a new kid on the block who's just signed for your club, who's now your teammate, and you're going out saying to people, I'm not sure about why we signed him. You fucking dimwit. He's your teammate, a young kid.
Well,
It's
normally you
your,
used to
it's
sit
your,
back and be quiet and watch it and figure it out.
you're meant to be helping him bed himself in. That's your job as a teammate. You get
You're
the
giving it
best
that.
out of each other. I mean, what's your take on based off of all
Right.
the things I've just said?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
your
yeah.
viewpoint?
I will say it like this, because what you're saying links into the media point you made that a minute ago. Yeah, yeah. Big up Mama Flossie for dropping that. Big up early doors as well. Always nice guy. And big up Kudos as well in the chat, by the way. Look out for him. He's going to be developing Spurs content. He's one of our little
Mm,
community as well. Big him up.
mm,
Good luck with that. Kudos. Let us know.
yes, man.
But yeah, just to go, because what you just mentioned is the 2 points you've made. The one about the media, and I believe that was justified, and the player influences and egos at Manchester United.
Mm,
Right. Let me give you what I mean by this. Right. Ever since Fergie left, every time you lot have signed a bigger player, shall we say, a name that's over 50 mil, They've never really quite worked out. And I'll give you examples: Maguire, Lukaku, Sancho, Pogba. There's another big one I'm missing. Varane hasn't quite worked out how you guys wanted him to. Lindelof, you know what I mean? Like, you guys signed these guys when they were supposedly stars for other teams, and they've never really materialized. Now, the problem I think is to go to Man United gives you a big ego anyway, because it's Man United.
Hmm.
To be and the thing is, right, since Ferguson has left, the problem is that you knew Fergie was the club. And let's be honest, Fergie destroyed big players at Manchester
Hmm.
United. Like, if you weren't part of the culture and you didn't like adapt to the way he wanted to do, you got annihilated. Whether you were a Yap Stam, Ruud van Nistelrooy,
Hmm.
David Beckham, it did not matter. The problem is because of the way football shifted from the professional side to the personal side of things, like with the Jadon Sancho thing. How
Hmm.
are you shitting on a manager that gave you 3 months off last year?
Would any other manager do that for their
Probably not.
player? I'm feeling slightly under the weather, boss. I'm not quite mentally checked in, boss. Or maybe a couple of weeks at best. Try and work through it. Maybe some training might help you get through it. But now Ten Hag said, look, go take 3 months off. 3 months taken out of your career. You're one of the highest earners at this club, and you're taking the piss now. You're absolutely taking the piss. And as far as the leaks about Ten Hag and all of that stuff, I've heard that
Thank
rumors
you, man.
about it being, I've heard rumors about it being the a long-standing group of players. So players that have been here for a while. So interesting when you say that the bigger signings, like Varane as one of those. Supposedly Varane isn't actually involved in any of the leaking. Now, supposedly he's been dropped from the squad for an isolated, petty reason. God only knows what that is. And to be honest, if it is quite petty, then you know you're adults, you're grown ups, deal with it,
Right,
sort it out.
exactly.
But the problem is that the leaks, the ones where the players want an easy ride, they've decided, you know what, we're going to throw the towel in. We're going to throw the towel in. We're going to call it a day. We're just going to try and get this guy sacked. They did this probably as far back as Mourinho, because there's actually no LVG. Marcus
Yep,
Rashford and Luke Shaw were here under LVG.
yep.
Maybe they're leaks. Maybe. I like they've not name dropped anybody as far as we're concerned. Which is why I think the journalists are actually kind of in the enemy sphere as well. Because they can drop the names as to who their source is. They don't have to name drop players. They can just say, well, the names of the person that they talk to. People can decipher from that. And when the names do come out, ooh, there should be absolute hell to pay for some of these guys. And the fact is that these people, they've done it to so many managers. LVG kicked out the door. Mourinho kicked out the door. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kicked out the door. Ralph Rangnick kicked out the door. Now Eric Ten Hag, like these guys, they're like the Goldilocks. They don't want anything too hard or too soft. They don't want something too hot, too cold.
Well, can I
Just right
interject
in the
on
middle.
that point quickly? Just make a 10-second point. The thing is, like I said to you a minute ago when I made the point about the egos of bigger players, the thing is, when
Mm,
you bring in a Jaden Sancho on 350 grand, now you know this from everyone in this chat and this group knows that when you get paid 350 grand, you would think you are a bigger star than maybe what you're led on to believe.
mm,
Kaya Varts gets paid 350 grand or whatever else it is at Arsenal. Is he that kind of player? Does he deserve that kind of wage? Probably not. But
mm,
there's that ego. There's that idea that in whatever aspect they're a star. And the thing is, like you just alluded to, no one is worried about the solution of the problem. They're all worried about passing around the blame. So there's
mhm,
no actual problem solving skills because one thing, and this is the reason why I mentioned Fergie, because you had to adapt to his way of playing, and if you didn't, you went out. You
mm,
knew what you had to do to get into the team, be a regular in it, be a good starter. You had to
mm,
bed into his philosophy. Now,
mm,
when you said the Sacho thing, "Oh, boss, I don't quite like your philosophy." Yeah. But on that being said, about how much of an ego trip the players are on, like you see with Arteta today, and because I watched it a part of the Arsenal game, like you've seen with Eric Ten Hag at like Man United and with Poch
Mm,
at Chelsea, because these managers they don't really adapt to the players they have.
yeah.
They get like now I know Ten Hag said that he is not playing the Ajax football that he would want with Man United because Man United don't have the players. But the
Mm,
problem is, if you don't have that mindset of what the idea Ajax style for Man United is,
mm.
what is your Man United style then? Define it to me. If you can't do the same thing with Ajax, what's your plan? What are you going to do with this Man United team? What's going to be Ten Hag's Man United style of play? Is it going to be more counter attack?
And that's the thing. It's interesting because it's only until now that this has become apparent that this is the intent, and this is what I believe is Eric Ten Hag is having to constantly make compromise after compromise after compromise because these players, when he first came in, let's try Ajax style of football, guys. You saw it with the training, you saw it with the approaches, everything. You saw it, the similarities between the way that they were trained at Ajax to the way that they trained, that they were training for preseason at Man United. You saw the similarities there. I feel like these bunch of the prima donnas in the squad who have constantly been speaking to Ten Hag, like, oh, Eric, this is too hard. We can't do this. Oh, we're not too good at that. I think we'd be better if we did this. I think we'd be better if we do that. And slowly but surely, Ten Hag has retracted more and more and more and more
Not what he
what
wanted
he
anymore.
wanted to do. So now he's literally come out to say, well, I can't say that I wanted to play the Ajax way. He's probably spun it to say, I like I would never do that. I would never go and just take my Ajax style of football to any other club and just do that. But then again, it's like, but everybody else kind of does. So you can't just be the only one that doesn't follow the
Do it.
grain.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So
What is the Man
that's
United
so
version?
yeah. So that to me, I feel like is again a squad issue where the guys that they try and manipulate so much of what the manager does. It's a term that I think Mark Goldbridge says it quite well. That usually the dog wags the tail, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
dog, the
yeah,
bigger thing, it moves the smaller element.
yeah. You're right. I
In
get you.
this situation, the tail's wagging the dog.
Dog
The players, they have so much control there.
rattling the club.
It's
Yeah, mate.
and the people above Ten Hag, they're almost like their mates as well. Like because they brought around this whole let's put player image first. So if a big brand gets upset at Man United and it's because of the manager, what's the easiest, cheapest thing to do? Sack one manager, hire one manager. It's cheaper and quicker than selling half of your squad and buying half of a squad. So it's the easier thing to do,
Dude,
but that's just it. It's not the right thing to do.
can I ask one question, right?
Yeah.
How would okay, and this is and can Rajit 5 just put or V just put a comment and said Ralph and Ronaldo were right. Right now, I want you to highlight that for me for one particular reason. Now,
Mm,
one thing I disagree with Ralph Ragnick was correct because he analysed the problems of the infrastructure of Manchester United from
mm,
very early, and I agree with that. But the problem I disagree with why Ronaldo was a little baby because he's a prima donna as well. Let's not get this mixed up. Most modern
mm,
footballers are in their own ways. There's a few humble ones like Declan Rice, for example. And I'm
mm.
not gonna lie, Bruno Fernandez, even though I don't rate him all the time, keeps his mouth shut most of it. So I will say that about Bruno. Like, but one thing that I disagree about Ronaldo is what would have happened to Manchester United if Eric Cantona had the same attitude as Ronaldo? It's not the
Well,
best club. It's not what it should be. It's not this great. It's not that. The point is you push the club forward, not the club pushes you forward. If Eric
mm,
Cantona was that finishing touch, like how Chelsea and Arsenal and certain teams lack a striker or whatever else nowadays, and it'd be the cherry on the cake. That's what Cantona was to that Manchester United team.
mm,
He was that what made that team special. He was that little bit
mm,
of stardust on it that made the team click, and then they propelled into 25 years of glory. If Ronaldo wants to be that much of a legend for United, bring United back to glory. And I'm not being funny. All this stuff about Ronaldo, like, he knew the state of the club when he came back. Because by the time he came back, like last year and the year before, it was obvious of the state of the club. The Glazers have been abusing the club for about 9 years straight. You know, everyone's been in and out. I think the last bad thing about Fergie's legacy was putting David Moyes in charge, or kind of handpicking him, because I do think that was another reason why Man United went backwards. Because, like I said a minute ago about a person who's as big as the club that you have to respect, if you guys would have brought Mourinho in straight away after maybe Fergie had left, that would have made more sense. Because at that point, Mourinho was already a legend in football. He's 2 years on from a treble with Inter. He's that guy that everyone could get behind. And I'm not being funny. If that maybe that Europa League or that Premier League push happened a bit sooner before other teams had got into gear, like City when they like boasted ahead of them, and eventually when Chelsea got back into gear as well. You know what I mean? It's been a bit of a mess up, and it's been continued to be a mess up. And every time you guys take 5 steps forward, you take 10 back. So I do think you just need to have players in yours, because you said about the prima donnas. I think it's about time Man United forget reputation, just sign players that want to play for the badge and get them back to where they were. Not cry that they're not there anymore, because we all know they've not been there for 9-10 years. Well, I don't know, 2012 years. They've not been this team for 12 years. We all know that. We've all seen it. So how Ronaldo said after 9, you know what? I quite missed that. I didn't realize the pool was the same and the roof leaked. Oh, really? Like, so what have you? Oh, that's because you've been in sunny Spain and you weren't looking behind you. That's all. Like, you know, I mean, he came back at nostalgia, and I'm not being funny. That's one thing I don't rate about Ronaldo. As a true Man United legend, you should have been dedicated on re-establishing the club, and you weren't. You were more about yourself. So I digress.
I think with the Ronaldo situation. Also, by the way, early doors is just up to you.
Yeah, I did thank him earlier when I read that originally. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Thank you, everyone.
With also, by the way, as Mama Flossie has
AFC always load it. Exit the chat, and reload it, because he says he can't see anyone's comments in the chat. If it's gone blank, then just reload the stream. Go out of it and come back into it. Sorry.
Yeah, things are working fine from our end. So, Early Doors Football TV. Make sure you subscribe to him. Link is there in the chat. But also, we are also streaming to Wolfgang Division's channel as well. So we are also live over there. Do be sure click there. The link is also in the stream title as well, so it should take you right to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to Wolfgang Division, as well as like his stream as well, because we can get both of our streams pushed up the algorithm. We'll become a network. Become a network.
That's what I'm trying to do. This guy's the main man. Big up Bance and Kyle.
Yeah, big ups, man. Big ups to those guys. I'm still getting to that point in the chat. But yeah, man, with the Ronaldo situation, it felt like there's one thing that's actually quite acknowledgeable is how little the teammates actually cared about Ronaldo leaving as a figure that was worshipped. And there was the butting of heads between Ronaldo and the rest of those guys. He leaves the club and they're just like,
bye.
Thank God he's gone. Now we don't have to worry about Ronaldo telling us all about how to win. And that's I mean. The problem. Ronaldo, as much as he might have, if to people say he left the club acting a bit like a baby with the interview with Piers Morgan, at the same time, he's probably the only real winner, like serial winner in that dressing room, and everybody else is looking at him like, what a little princess this guy is. Oh, can't believe it. Talking to us about how he wins games of football. How to think in these moments. Who does he think he is? And it's like, to me, it's no real surprise that these players, that they want the people that challenge their ambitions the most, from Ronaldo to Ten Hag to Mourinho to Ralf Rangnick, to all of those guys, They're disciplinarians. They care about winning. It's all about and you know, you say for example, Lee Gunner, as a fan, he believes like it's his religion. The sole aim of elite sport is to win. Those guys somewhat breathe it. They act it. They enact it. That's what their principles are. And these players, they sit on the side and they're like, I'm not about that life. Well, why are you at Man United then?
United now. Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
you've had it before. Some of these guys have said, "Oh, we're Man United players. We should be winning all of these games." But then they'll leak to British media, British players, by the way, predominantly British players. There's not really anybody who's foreign players that are leaking to the press. It's just the British guys. Now you can pick and choose who you want to believe those players are. They're coming out to say, "Oh well, the routes that we have to take to get to winning every game, I don't like doing that. I don't want to do that. So I'll start performing less and less and less to get the manager sacked." And I'm sort of at the camp where I'm less thinking about this. And again, Mark Goldbridge said this. I'm less thinking about this as the players are down tools for the manager. They've stopped playing for the manager. I think they've just stopped playing for the club because they just don't care about these fans anymore. They probably never did to start with. It's all just a big ruse when they say or have to speak on behalf of the club. They just don't care. They don't care about us. What they want is an easy ride with their big money contracts. Half of that team is higher paid than half or like two or three of the highest earners at every other top performing club. Liverpool, Man City, you name it. Half of our squad is up there. What have they done to earn them? Marcus Rashford has a purple patch season, gets 350k a week at least. And he has been one of the torch bearers for things that have gone fucking awry this season. So what is that about? Guy gets subbed off against Newcastle. Cameras capture him saying, "Oh, what the fuck am I doing here?" Supposedly, that's what Rip leaders apparently say. And what happens? Ten Hag loses a game. We get dominated. Rashford cuts a frustrated figure on the touchline. All the leaks come out. All the leaks come out. All the rats come scurrying out. They've got to put dirt on Ten Hag's name, put dirt on the manager's name. This is the struggle of power where that's the one thing. And I'll cover this last bit before we start talking about the game because otherwise we'll be here forever. This is the constant power struggle that really grinds my gears about this club. We don't like. I want, as a fan, to be able to critique a manager when he doesn't get something right, critique players when they don't get something right, but praise when praise is due, and have it just as that. As a football fan, I get to support a football club. Manchester United, in the way that they've been run, to the way that people have acted, all of this stuff, right the way across the board, has been anything but a football club. It has been like the longest episode you've ever seen, a 10-decade-long episode of Love Island. Just non-stop drama. Drama.
Yeah, you're right.
Off the pitch issues, on the pitch issues, back dressing room talk, training round, bust ups, all of that stuff. It's
the
just
dirty laundry, bro. It's all there to see.
And the thing is that the people upstairs, they have let it go on for too long. Now's the time to get them the hell out, right? John Murtagh, get gone. Get gone. You allow this. You are the enablers to the players. The sooner as we get people of power who care about winning and care about the club doing well, the second a lot of these guys gone. A lot of these players will be gone. Most of them, if not everybody, will be gone. And maybe they sack the manager as well. Maybe. But the fact is that it's all done in the action of making Manchester United a football club again, which is kind of why I care so little about the fact that Qatar have lost the bidding race and Sir Jim Ratcliffe won. I was pissed off when I saw that news break. But now I just don't care because we're not even a football club. Both options give a semblance to a football club structure where we start acting like a football club again. Whether one party may have made us successful beyond everybody else's beliefs, the other party might make us maybe win a Premier League title here, maybe a Premier League title there. There's two different ways of doing it between these two groups. But we start acting like a football club. This crazy nonsense talk can go away, can be put to bed, and we can actually just move on. I mean, would you agree with that? Would you say that that's a fair jurisdiction to the situation of Manchester United Football Club today?
Well, using your analogy and being brief with it is much better than where you are now. Because let's be honest, like me and you have constantly spoke about this, haven't we? The vampires that is the Glazers, and the thing is, like I said, because there's been so many chefs for the broth, you don't know what you're cooking anymore. So literally, you're left with, okay, we've got to start from scratch. How do we do it? New owners or a new footballing structure, like you said, and we go from basics and upwards. Go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm not being disrespectful. I know this is my take on it. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just my opinion. I don't think Ten Hag's the problem for exactly the reasons we've been talking about for the last 35 minutes.
Well, we could say that he's a problem, and by a problem, we could be talking very, very minuscule, but it's like a contribution, like it's a little something that maybe you've done something wrong, you could do something better, but you are not the problem.
I hear you, but one thing.
We can't start or finish with the manager. It's got to start from somewhere else.
Well, all I'll say, like you said about the varying level of problem, but the problems that were there that were really hampering Man United and still hamper Man United were there before Ten Hag, and they're still there. So,
yeah, 100%, exactly. Anyways, we have got a game to discuss about for tomorrow. If just before we forget and just make this all about the Glazers outshine. But man, I'll tell you what. Before this crazy media scurry of like media leaks and all of that stuff, maybe there's a semblance of it's a home game, it's a big opponent. Maybe these players would step up. Maybe some of these guys would want to perform and try and do some honor for the badge. The problem is that with all of those media leaks, the cat's kind of out the bag, and those players that have leaked it, they know the cat's out the bag. They know what's going on, what everyone's saying now. They know that everyone's on to their case. So everything's going to be under the microscope. So it's either they quickly patch it up and start performing well, or they really do throw the games. And the thing is based off of history bias, I can't say that we will get anything tomorrow. I was assuming maybe towards a win / a draw for United, but with the way in which this has gone this past week, I don't believe there's anything to get out of this game. Maybe a 2-1 to Chelsea. I think Chelsea will probably go to Old Trafford and win. Now, it probably won't be, say, like a blowout result or anything like that at all, where I assume with United, where we drop performances and we just deliberately play bad to try and get the manager sacked. Now, that I don't think would, say, happen, because there's still a lot of players that do want to play for this manager. There's still a lot of players that are still trying to do something for this manager, and it's quite obvious. Garnacho, I think Wan-Bissaka, perhaps. Wan-Bissaka, sometimes he tries to give Dalot, another player, Amrabat, Mainu, some of the younger guys, Rasmus Højlund, he's trying. There's still a contingent of players in there that will try to deliver for the shirt and deliver for the fans. And that's the only hope that I have got, is that those players, they find impact in this game tomorrow. But as for everybody else, I don't understand why I should be positive about these players who are trying to sack the manager, trying to win. Because if they're trying to win, not trying to get rid of a manager. So that's why, in that mindset, I'm thinking, Man United, are you playing for the manager, yes or no? If yes, okay, I can talk about us maybe winning this game. If you're not trying to win or play for this manager, all bets are off. You can't predict wins. It's like it's becomes almost a foregone conclusion that these players are going to conjure up a lack of effort that will facilitate us not winning a game. I don't know if, say, this has happened at Chelsea, where players stop playing for a manager, that
Yes,
you feel like if it becomes obvious to you
yes,
that you feel like, but if I know that these players aren't playing for this manager, do I back them to actually win games of football? Maybe against smaller teams, it's just a difference of quality. But your bigger games, you think the decks are stacked against you.
Mm-hmm. I well, right. I'll give you two examples of what you just spoke about. I'll give you two
Mm,
examples of where the players have completely rebelled against the manager. Phil Scolari,
mm,
where most of the English, like the core of the players, like Drogba, those kind of guys, Terry, they were all dashed to one side because they weren't considered up technically there as gifted enough. And mans like Lampard and stuff like that were brought
mm,
in, or still there, but we got mans like Deco in and stuff like that. Very similarly,
mm,
AVB a couple of years later when we won the Champions League. You know what I mean? He used to put players like Ashley Cole in our big Champions League nights. We used to rest Drogba, Lampard, Ashley Cole,
mm.
John Terry. And it
Yeah.
was just like, that's our best team.
Mm,
It was like, what the hell are you doing? Now, we always understood that certain players need to implement their philosophy onto a team. But when you go into a big team like Man United or Chelsea or wherever else, you still need to use what you've got to its
mm,
strengths. So if you go into a team when there's a load of players that run hard and they're physical and they run until they drop, then you make a use of that. You don't try and make a runner
mm,
like a dribbler. You let him play in behind. You don't make a dribbler a defender. You know what I mean? In that
mm,
kind of aspect, in terms of you play to what your strengths are. Because this is what I say about how certain managers don't know how to use what they've got. And we've got managers like, so for example, Poch, Arteta, Ten Hag. We all have players that don't play at all, and like two or three of them maybe, and like these players that are used and maybe we don't agree with them. For example, like my example would be Broya over
mm,
Jackson. Don't get me wrong, Jackson's the bigger name coming from Villarreal, but when you look
mm.
at Broya to Jackson, he may not be as quick, but he's physically more there. He'll barge into a guy. He's a bit more of the Chelsea traditionalist. He's a bit more like
Yeah.
Diego Costa and Drogba
Yeah.
than what, you know what I mean? Because that's the thing, isn't it? It's the tradition of our clubs now. Even Chelsea have it.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
it's not the tradition of Man United to have all this dirty laundry out on the line. It's not tradition of Man United to sit there, everyone saying, taking pock shots at the manager. When you've got, even like you said, when you've got ex-players that are winners, like Matic, turn around and saying, hang on a minute, this guy's been a crybaby since he walked in the door 5 years ago.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, it depends, because some people will side with the crybaby, some people will side with the professional. It just depends. That you're never going to get a definitive answer to that one. But what I will say is, like, if Ten Hag says this is how you play as a professional, you don't go. You're not a factory worker. You go in and you say your foreman says, "Hey Simon, you've got to fill 50 bags today." But I
mm,
believe, all right, but I think you should only do 40 because you have to do it properly, right? I
mm,
still have to I still have to make 50, even if I don't agree with the way it's done.
mm,
Otherwise, I'm not doing what I'm told, and I'll get the sack. That's why I said about the money. The money fools these guys into thinking they have ability they don't have. Like Jadon Sancho, for example, it turns out he's spineless.
mm.
Why are you getting paid 350 grand and you can't turn up to training at work? Hey man, you're buy a house near training ground. You got 350 grand a week. You could do it with 1 week's wages. Where is your problem solving skills? Seriously,
And
why can't you figure this out?
the guy probably does what the Dortmund CEO guy said that he does, and he stays up into the early hours of the morning gaming. Yeah, and that's what he does.
That's unprofessional.
He's a big gamer. I'm thinking, what are you doing professionally, football or gaming? So if you're doing football professionally, it's like if I'm working tomorrow from early, I prioritize myself getting to bed earlier so I can wake up on time, get myself
Right?
prepared, and my mind is more geared up for working. Whereas it looks like with someone like Jaden Sancho, his priorities are not with the football club. He's got this massive ass wage. Let me stay up until early hours of the morning, which, by the way, hampers your performances. So maybe that's why you're not training so well, Jaden,
Tired.
because you've got bags under your eyes and you're dragging your feet a bit in training. But now we've got people coming out apparently saying that, oh, Jaden's training like a beast. Your best mates have told you that. Your best mates have told you that. Not
FIFA
not not
told you that.
people, not not people that were assessing your training when Ten Hag called you out. It's not the same people. If it's the same people that were, assessing Sancho's training back then when Ten Hag says, yeah, he's not training well enough, to them saying, oh, yeah, you're training like a beast now, do you think that he might actually be involved a bit more? Or that he's still on the suspended list because, he's decided to be anti-manager all of a
Mm.
sudden. Just a quick one as well. AFC, I've noticed that you're commenting from Wolfgang Division's chat.
I did say that to him.
That's probably the reason why you can't see everybody else's comments. But if it's on Hot Fuzz on my channel, you probably would see
Yeah, I did tell him that.
the chats there. Um, but yeah, man, with this game,
Po, po,
from
po.
with your perspective,
Mm-hmm.
big ups Carl Rossi and Football Bants as well. Go subscribe to Football Bants channel there. Great Arsenal content creator again there. Um, your thoughts with this game coming up, because you've seen Chelsea playing in recent times. You had this sort of resurgence into a promising position where you're scoring a lot of goals. Okay, you may be conceding a few, but you were winning games. You were
Yeah,
looking like you were starting to uncover something. Then, say the Newcastle game happened, and it looks like everything sort of hit a roadblock, if you will. What's your take with the way in which Chelsea, or how Chelsea are coming into this game?
well, in how we're coming into the game, like with the exception of because it was just typical. The other results you just mentioned were just typical big game syndrome for us this year. Because every
Hmm.
big game we've had, we've either drawn through stupidity or we've not been good enough. But the only two exceptions were literally Spurs and Newcastle. One self-destructed in terms of Spurs. They just, I don't know why. Yeah, we all saw that. And the other one was Newcastle, where you did come up against a solidly organized team, even though they didn't have all their players. But Eddie Howe is the greatest example of right now. You fit a player into a philosophy, and that
Hmm.
philosophy is when you're off the ball, you defend like a sod. When you're on the
Hmm.
ball, you show energy, you show desire, and you get up the pitch. That's why, even though Newcastle are missing their players, that's why they can still match these teams because they all believe in what they're doing. That's why.
Hmm.
And the thing is with Chelsea right now, because a lot of people don't forget, we're still missing 4 or 5 what I would call first team players. Chilwell isn't starting. Reece James,
Hmm.
because of injury and suspensions, in and out. Lavia's not even kicked the ball yet, and Kuka's not kicked the ball yet. Broyar's only just getting back, and I don't even know if that guy's ever going to get full fitness again. Jackson is adapting slowly, but this is his first season, and he's a 22-year-old. When did Chelsea ever
Hmm.
rely on a 22-year-old kid? When you go through all the
Hmm.
Chelsea's title wins, there's a 28, 29-year-old man there banging in goals, bro. Right?
Hmm.
Even if it's 15 or 10 or whatever, like, there's a Drogba and a Nelka or Costa. Even Morata to a degree. I do feel sorry for Morata because in terms of if we had the creativity in the team now that we had then, Morata would score
Hmm.
more goals, even though he did miss 1 or 2 good chances. But the
Hmm.
thing is, it's always like these Premier League teams always seem to be you've got one and not the other, and when you get the other, you lose what you had in the first place, or there's a new problem.
Hmm.
It's just
This
Oh,
is
mate.
constant.
It
Yes,
is. It's embarrassing, bro. Because you mentioned it earlier on. You said the highest profile mid-table clash of the age. Mid, you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, despite your guys' shortcomings, you're still only what 6 points off the top four.
something like that. I think.
Right.
We're sat in seventh at the moment. We're 24 points. Newcastle on 26. Tottenham on
Right.
27. So I mean, best case scenario, this midweek is that we'd end up back into sixth place again if Newcastle don't win,
Mm-hmm.
um, or draw. That well, actually no, they'd need to just lose. But we're not a million miles away. But I feel like that's just in respect to the
How
table
bad everyone.
almost being a lie that the games that we've played and we've picked up points. I'll tell you one thing as well. We have not drawn a game yet. And
Mm,
usually draws tend to lower your points accumulation. So all of the teams that have got draws, it's like you only get a point per draw, but it's less wins and less
mm-hmm.
losses. So it's like better winning, uh, like almost it's almost better winning one game, losing two, than it is drawing two, losing one. It's
Yeah,
like
I
you
know.
think two results. You think, oh, that's those are two positives. You'd
Mm,
still get more if you lost twice, but then won just one of
yeah.
those games.
Look how far the
And
standards have slipped.
it's like, yeah, I mean, we've won 8 games and lost six. We've zero draws, -1 goal difference. But the fact is just that we've had decisive results. We've not had ball draws or games where we
Yeah, it
didn't
goes for
quite
you
do
against you, one or the
enough.
other.
Yeah, so I think that's something where I think some people who say, look, this game tomorrow could be a
The
draw,
opposite
guys,
for
could be a
Chelsea,
draw.
by the way. The opposite for Chelsea in terms of like you just said about the definitive result one way or the other. Sometimes we get the
Mm,
opposite in terms of a result that should be a win or maybe should be a loss gets condensed
mm,
into a draw.
mm. Yeah, that's fair. But question here from Football Bands is, where will this game be won? It'll be won at Old Trafford. And that's not the question. But where
Yeah,
uh, I
by a
say
team.
by someone kicking the ball in the goal. From your Chelsea team, let's say if you picked your starting 11, who do you see being your key players for you in this kind of game?
Well,
Who
out the
you
ones
would
available out the whole squad.
what well the ones available? Yeah.
Well, well, right now in terms of the ones available, it's the lesser of evils, really. Reece James is going to be suspended. I prefer Gusto at right back to Diaz any day of the week because even though
Hmm.
Diaz is stronger, I do think other than maybe tracking back a little bit, Gusto is a much better naturally equipped right back than what Diaz is. I'm not being disrespectful to Thiago Silva. I love him, but I need him out of the team because for this team to go forward, we need to move beyond Thiago Silva. Because don't get me wrong, he's a great defender, but unless you're playing five at the back, you know, and he's in the middle, like his lack of pace is a bit of a vulnerability. Yes, he's got his experience to cover that, but to truly move on, we need to build a completely brand new team. So
Hmm.
like Cucurella at left back, not really sure about that because he has his good days, he has his bad days. Same thing with Levy Colwell. Like,
Hmm.
like, but to be honest, if given the choice right now, I would say I'd want to see because of Rashford's pace, Højlund's pace, and obviously he has got it, even if he hasn't. Martial, I don't know what the hell has happened to that guy, but he's still got pace. I wouldn't mind seeing Diaz Badashil, who is coming back and is starting to look a decent player. He was playing good
Hmm.
against Brighton the other day. He's one of the few guys that could have held his hold up when we were starting getting exposed. But I wouldn't mind seeing Brighton Diaz or as centre backs, Gusto right, maybe Colwell left.
You mean Sassy?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
a
No, no,
French guy.
yeah. The Sassy Diaz, I've heard it pronounced several ways. I actually want to ask my sister-in-law actually which way is the proper
Yeah.
way to pronounce it because I'm actually getting sick and tired of interpreting. But yeah, but Diassi, yeah, fair enough. Then I want to see Enzo Fernandez. There's an interesting conundrum because with all the shit spoken
Hmm.
about Gallagher and Concedo, I actually think out of the three, Gallagher Concedo's actually been the best and the most
Hmm.
consistent. Gallagher in his last game was silly to get sent off, and it was silly, so he ain't going to be playing anyway. So
Yeah.
I think I want to see. I'm not being okay. This may sound crazy, but I want to see my team go 4-4-2
Hmm.
because I do think like with the players we've only got available now, we haven't got a good enough, big enough midfield. We don't have that many midfielders. I don't want to see like I know we've got a lot of talented youngsters, but a lot of them have only just come, so I want to see them given time to adapt. I want to see an Enzo Concedo pivot with Palmer
Hmm.
and maybe in front of them as a CM possibly or a 10
Yeah.
with Mudrick, Raheem Sterling, and I have to say I want to see Broja instead of Jackson because I said he just provides that physicality.
Yeah.
So, and I do think right now because technically if we try and have a go at you, I think we'll come unstuck because I think on a technical level, I think your team's still above mine. We've got technical ballers and given time, but as a project, as a team, like Ten Hag's had a year more than Poch, so like and you have to work with what you've got
Hmm.
and try and bring something that don't be predictable. Try and bring something to United they're not going to expect.
Yeah.
Because I know right now you're expecting a 4-3-3. You know, Thiago Silva at the back, Jackson up front. You know, Sterling on the right, maybe Mudrick on the left. You know,
Yeah.
maybe Cole Palmer on the left. You know, if you know how Chelsea are going to line up because Poch has been quite consistent with who he's picking. But now you're in a position now where you have to change that up.
Hmm.
So I want to see, as a Chelsea fan, that's the conundrum I want to see. With Conor Gallagher suspended, is he still going
Hmm.
to go with the three in the midfield? How will that work? Will we
Yeah.
see? Will we see Nkuku? Maybe,
Hmm.
maybe not. Like you know what I mean. But then again, this all depends on what kind of United we face. Because that's like, let me flip a question to you. Like off
Hmm.
what I've said, like because this is one thing our teams do in common. Have in common, we're both kind of like that with who we start, who we play.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? What,
Well,
what's your United team?
well, I think Ten Hag was posed the question. Um, will the players that played against Newcastle start against Chelsea? And he said, yeah, more or less the same. And I'm thinking, well, that team needed some massive changes because it sat in the passenger seat for 90 minutes, and that game could have and probably should have been like a 5-6-7-0 again. Um, for me, as far as this team goes, it needs to have some essence of intensity, but
Fozzie, take the
at
comment away
present,
from your face. We can't see you.
sorry, I'm doing a bounce, disappearing half of my
Shrinking
camera.
into the chair.
Yeah, but yeah, Ben. Um, as far as who I think is, a win condition for United, to be honest, probably. And I mean, this is like almost shambolic that I have to say this, but he's probably going to be someone like Garnacho. That's a win condition for us because I don't see. Well, maybe Rasmus Højlund gets a start and gets his shooting boots on, but I don't see Rashford providing anything. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really see Scott McTominay getting high up the pitch enough to provide something. I think he'll disappear again. I think Kobe Mainoo's probably going to be isolated again. Bruno Fernandes possibly could be a difference maker in this game, but I mean, it's so fewer people that can be someone that could take the game by the scruff of the neck and deliver a winning performance for Manchester United with everything that's going on with all the players, where we have to sort of go, can I trust him to actually play for this club or can I not? For me, there's you can't, beggars can't be choosers. Like, it's one person or the other, and that's it. Like Garnacho, because he's got some good goal scoring form. He had a goal against Everton, fantastic strike. Good goal against Galatasaray. Maybe he gets the opportunity to start well again today or tomorrow and gets a goal earlier in the game, perhaps. I mean, he started games quite well. It's just everything else about this Man United team is so difficult to actually say how United would win this game if they were to win this game. Like, if I were to come from the future and say, "Hey, Man United win tomorrow," I couldn't tell you how we did it. Would
Mm-hmm.
if I were to say Manchester United win this game tomorrow, would you be able to say how they managed it?
Well, not really, because like you just said, most of our teams, or mine and yours, are so unpredictable. You don't really know what kind of team you're gonna get that will turn up. Are we gonna get the team that was free flowing and attacking against City, or are we gonna get that team that played against? Who did we play? Brighton the other day that scored 2 goals and literally recoiled into their own shell.
Mm.
Like it depends, because I believe if we go into like our shell again, like we're gonna get
Mm.
pied. Because I do believe in that stadium against like Man United, they're gonna have the edge on us with the fans. So it depends. But then again, if we turn up and we play with the same confidence like we did against City and we score an
Yeah.
early goal against you, maybe we can do to you what you kind of guys did to Everton. Silence
Mm-hmm.
them, like silence the crowd, hush, make it a bit nervy. Because I think that's kind of reason why I think Everton won over the weekend, but when you guys faced them the week before, you guys kind of like you got them at them early. That Garnacho goal,
Mm.
one of those ones. It was just one of those moments. It was just so much quality, it just kills the game. Like, and that's
Mm.
what that Garnacho moment was, because you mentioned it. So I thought I'd just go back to
Yeah.
that. So if we can use that sort of basis, like an Everton performance, where how you guys won, where we were like we get in there, try and get an early goal, or at the very least don't concede early,
Mm.
then we got a fighting chance, and we can maybe like make the crowd nervous. Because one thing about it is because it's battle of the crappiest, really, isn't it? Right? Because
Mm.
considering the standards that both mine and your club set, it's one of those games that even it's Man United Chelsea, it's kind of like, yeah, well, can't really say this is going to be a game full of quality, can you? You know what I mean? You don't know what you're going to get from each side, and that's the problem. Don't get me wrong, we
Yeah.
both leak goals, we both can concede goals, we both can score goals, we both can score spectacular goals, but the problem is that the overall batch of what you get is so jumbled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like you just hope your team performs up and just don't do foolishness or embarrass
Mm.
us, or because they're capable of that, and that's
Yeah.
not something we would have said about our teams 10 years ago. No, 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 no. What my team about? Nah, mate, don't, no, no. And the
To be honest,
officiating doesn't help.
I'll tell you what. It was growing up, because at that point it was like the 06s, 07s, and that sort of time where Chelsea were sort of winning titles under Mourinho's first stint. I was like the team that I just dread United facing the most was Chelsea. I wasn't bothered by Man City. I wasn't really too bothered by a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Tottenham. It was Chelsea. Like I felt the most threatened by Chelsea, and that was with the great side of Sir Alex Ferguson, with the likes of Ronaldo, Tevez, Berbatov,
And
Rooney,
you still felt we were a threat as well.
all in one team. I mean, Didier Drogba is probably my most sort of feared striker against Man United. I don't never really feared any other strikers
Don't get him in
against
a
Man
cup
United.
final. Don't get him in a cup final, bro. You'll bang.
Yeah, man. Um, Early doors football. Unfortunately, time for me to go. Early start tomorrow. No worries at all, man. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And big ups to you, man. Make sure that everybody in chat goes and shows Early Doors some love in his channel as well. Do be sure to subscribe there. Mama Flossie has linked in the channel, just in the chat rather. Just scroll up a little bit and you'll find the links to the channel there. Keep Garnacho, Hoyland, and Rabat, sell the rest. Oh, I mean, there's probably something there in the team for like a collection of players that you could build something else around the style of players that we've got there. Like I know with Kobe Miner, Amrabat, and players like that, maybe you want better quality than them, but there's something to work with there where you've got players that have pride, play for the shirt, try hard, do work hard. Having players that do also make sacrifices, from their game to compensate for everybody else, and they vice versa. So, I said on Tony Cord's watch along stream with Martin Erdegaard, is that Thierry Henry, he discussed about this, how much as a striker he wants everyone to set him up, put it on a plate for me, put it on a plate for me. It's like I could only do so much like that, but I had to then learn my teammates with how it is that they play and compromise a part of my game or do something extra to complement their game so that they look better, I look better, I'm doing more to complement their impetus on the game. And I feel like with players that we've got in the modern game, there's too many players that I think, say, for example, the easiest example to talk about is the strikers. Like Romelu Lukaku, a perfect example, just wants everything to come to him. Absolutely everything. Like, I'm the star player, serve it up on the plate for me. You could probably say Marcus Rashford last season. Like, he was the finishing touch on a lot of what happens, like with picking up the ball from deeper, running with it, beating a player off a dribble and scoring,
Mm-hmm.
or being in a good goal scoring position. He just wanted everything to come to him, but he wasn't instrumental in build ups or being a solid channel to actually helping everybody else's game improve by compensating, by doing something extra. And I feel like players with what we've got at Man United, I don't know about Chelsea, maybe a similar situation with Chelsea, where everyone's trying to do something extra to favour the teammate. And I feel like the modern game is a bit too systematically based to see players sacrificing individually to actually improve everybody else's game around
Yeah.
them. And maybe if there is an element to this new supposed United team, if we build up a squad of players that have that element of sacrifice for each other, that we do see a much, much better United, better than what we've seen, say, the last 10 years or so, because it's a team of committed players that are willing to put everything on the line, to sacrifice, to go the extra mile for everybody else. And I think what we have at the moment is too much of a free for all, as you've said at the club. The situation, blame game. Everyone's blaming each other. I'm convinced that these guys just don't like each other. Like there's cliques in that dressing room. Players do not like their teammates, and that in and of itself. Like, just exclude manager out of it. If you've got players that are making cliques because they not quite getting along with everybody else in the dressing room, it's like, well, it's not like, say, 10, 20 years ago. If you didn't like a player in the dressing room, you didn't care. You didn't care if you liked them or not. You just got on with it. It was your
Yeah, you
job.
just played. Yeah, you just played.
Yeah, settle the differences whenever you settle them. But when you're putting on a shirt, football comes first. Nowadays, if a modern footballer doesn't like a teammate, oh, let's cry to the media about it. It's, media leaks, people talking about each other. Like I mentioned about Rasmus Højlund, comes into the team. Someone is questioning why the club signed him. What's the point to that? I mean, the guy's just becoming your teammate. You've never spoken to him before. You don't know him. Your job is to actually get to know him, to understand his game, so you know how you're playing to compensate that. And it's just the unbelievable frustration that there's too many spoiled people at this club. Too many people spoiled at this club, and it's massively shot any footballing ambition for the club in the foot. And we just need this big reset to be hit. New squad, new starting 11, new bench, new everything.
Wait. Well, on that point though, be careful, because now you're looking at, now we flip to Chelsea for a second and look what
Yeah.
happened after the reset button's been pushed. Now R1 our reset button got signed, stamped, and authorized by the British government.
Mm.
Now remember, even if you do begin the correct process to get Man United out of the mud, so to speak, and you can use Chelsea as an example for this, even that process will take time.
Mm.
Because even though, okay, we get laughed at a lot recently because we're not the Chelsea of old, blah, 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 blah. But that's the point, really. We are not the Chelsea of old. We're a different Chelsea.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, bro, he's gotten out of, and he has actually gone completely out of his way to erase the Abramovich model. All the staff have gone. All the like regimes and stuff have changed. All the setups completely different. And the thing is, what we had was solid anyway.
Mm.
Because one thing about it is, do you remember that, was it Maria? Was that lady that used to get all of our players? Like, what's her name again?
Is
Maria.
that Marina?
Marina Galashnikov. Oh, well, I can't remember. She was obviously,
Yeah. I
but
know the one that Mourinho fell out with.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. We had that structure like you had with David Gill and Fergie, where we got this is where we got our certs from, and this is how the player worked. Yeah, Paul, Tony. Big up. And this is how the club runs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we were established winning machines at these points. Yes, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So the point is now, how do we make Chelsea a winning machine again, but without using the same defined model? And that's the problem with Todd Brohy, because a lot of people forget that with Chelsea, when we got bought by Abramovich, we still had to wait 2 years for us to start winning. When we got Jose Mourinho back, we still had to wait 2 years to start winning. So you know what I mean? And we're only 1 year into the last time we were supposedly this team. So, but even by logic, this year we're probably not going to win anything anyway, because the squad, we've only got 3 players that are over the age of 25.
Mm.
It's a kindergarten. Even though it's a big club, like welcome to Chelsea baby FC.
Mm.
Because and we use the Drogba examples, right? You were lucky back then if you had in that Chelsea squad like 10 players under the age of 25.
Mm.
But that was what made Chelsea dangerous. They were experienced, good, reliable players. If Ivanovic wasn't playing, we could play someone like Bosingwa. If Ashley Cole wasn't
Mm.
playing, we could play someone like who's the I don't know, William Gallas back in the day or someone like that. They
Yeah.
were players that could go into that position, not be as great, but almost as good, and the machine never faltered. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah. So I suppose with the difference I would say between say Todd Bowley coming in and Sergeant Ratcliffe, let's take percentages out of it for a second. With Sergeant Ratcliffe, he's already cut the figure where it's like, I'm not here to blow tons and tons of cash on this squad. I'm about making wise investment. I'm about choosing the best, strategically the best spending. And what that means, we'll have to see what his version of that, strategic spending is going to be. With Todd Bowley, I think, I mean, I called him Todd Woodward under the first summer because I was like, this guy's just scattergunning it. Like, there's no real idea behind what he was doing in that
There
first
is.
summer.
No, there is. But it's a bit FM-ish and a bit outlandish. I understand that, but yeah.
I think it, for me, there wasn't, because I felt like there was a bit too much of a desperation to bring like a Galacticos element to it with the say the
I would have said
identity.
an arrogance. I would have said an arrogance about it. Yeah, definitely.
Perhaps so, yeah. Because I felt like with the first summer there wasn't the 25s policy thing, because you had Koulibaly coming in, you had Sterling, you had guys like that coming in, and so it's like, I think it was too much
but
desperation.
they were Abramovich signings. Sterling and Koulibaly were Abramovich signings.
Were they?
Yep. Because don't forget that we started off with Tuchel, then he got forced out, Abramovich, then the Todd Brohy and them lot came in, and then obviously they forced out Tuchel, and then obviously Potter and them lot took over.
I thought I thought that was the opposite way around. I thought it was Abramovich got the club seized off of him. There was in limbo with Thomas Tuchel. Todd Bowley took over, started the summer late or later, signed a load of players.
No,
Apparently,
they were signed beforehand. They were signed before.
I don't know where I was reading stuff from then.
Well,
I thought that was supposedly. I thought I heard the story about a back of house chatter with Thomas Tuchel, talking about wanting a player or joking about a player or signing a player, and Todd Bowley goes and actually went and signed that player that he was joking about.
Koulibaly was our Rudiger replacement, remember? Because don't forget, we let Rudiger go to Real Madrid for virtually pittance because of the contract thing. Because that was the thing. That was the ridiculous thing about Abramovich. That was the one big F up. He left us so. Look at Kante's contract, Rudiger's, like all of those. Because I'm not being funny. Kante, if Kante was still in this team now, we had Enzo and Kante and Concedo there. But that's Abramovich's problems compared to Brohy's problems. So we'll just not get too into that. But don't forget, with Abramovich, it was always one in, one out. He was always like that. And then obviously the Brohy project, because I agree with what you're saying. It looks scattergun, and it is kind of like a FIFA project if you look at what Todd Brohy's doing. Because what he's doing, he's trying to build the house before the foundation is laid. If that kind of explains that, where he's trying to build up a world-class team while also building up a world-class reserves who will become a world-class team. Because one thing about it is when people say, "Oh, you spent $1 billion, why aren't you winning the league?" Then you obviously have not seen what he spent $1 billion on. Because if you look at that billion, 3 million, that's gone at 300 million, that's gone out on loan already. You know what I mean? And the other, the other 400 million that was spent under Poch this season, about 200 million that ain't got on the pitch. Because think about it, Lavia was 80 million, Nkunku 55 million. Oh, sorry, no. What was it? Wesley Fofana was 80 million, sorry. Nkunku was 55. Lavia, I think, was 55, 60. Enzo and Cancelo are both young, inexperienced players in the Premier League. Enzo's only been here a year. Cancelo's only been here a year and a half. And they're both young boys. That's why I said, night, Mama Flossie. That's why I said if a Kante was next to these boys, would it be different?
Yeah. Just a quick one with R. McDuff there. Thoughts on the score for Man United game tomorrow?
Well,
I've gone with a 2-1 to Chelsea for me. Don't know how you feel about it.
If it's how we normally play against the bigger teams, I'm not really sure what the score is going to be, but I guarantee you it could be a draw. It's going to be a draw. It'll be 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. Because whenever we've had a good because Spurs self-destructed and Newcastle, we just simply weren't good enough to beat. All the rest is the same thing. Just draw.
Yeah. Way to shoot Rasmus's confidence in the foot. Whoever said that should be ashamed. They should. And I think it's just the fact that the journalists coming out and saying stuff in the media as well. I mean, you could probably say they're just as bad because they have an opportunity to come forth and just say, well, look, I'm getting this information from this person who's affiliated to XYZ player, but they don't want to tell anybody their sources because otherwise, what do they write about Manchester United's downfall? They wouldn't have material to write. Then their journalism careers kind of, I'm not doing so many hard hitting stuff because United, look at them, they're struggling right now. I could write some blockbuster stories about them whilst they're struggling.
Oh,
Who better than to have players talk to associates or people, mutuals, and those mutuals then come to us. What's better? I mean, it's a gold mine for journalism if you have a direct-ish link with that.
Can I just make 2-second point? You know who sums up modern players? Aaron Ramsdale.
Nick Ramsdale as well.
Let's not even go there. We will be here all night if you get me into a rant about that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not. We won't be live for too much. We won't be live for too much longer because we are almost about to get to the day of the game, about 9 minutes away. So we'll get this wrapped up within that time. Marcus Rashford is 26 now, though he should be leading the team. There are a few players who have real interests. Look at Man United used to play. Rashford is on the back foot. He needs teammates. Just
big up, man. Beautiful comment.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, Marcus Rashford. I suppose. What was it? Jamie Carragher said about Marcus Rashford being, if you're the local lad or you're the poster child of Manchester United, surely you're the guy that, you're the guy that carries the example of Manchester United. You are the embodiment of what Man United is meant to be because you are the guy that's come through, like you. Literally, this club birthed your career. You are literally Mr. Manchester United with the career path that you've been on. Surely you hold the golden standard. and
Right.
everyone else
Mason
takes
Mount.
you.
Mason Mount. He's your Mason Mount. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's your Mason Mount, bruv. Sorry. You're supposed to be Mr. Chelsea. Yeah, all that. Yeah, cool.
Well, until PSG come in for him in the summer again and try to sign him, probably not. But it's kind of like that's. I mean, Jamie Carragher, he's right in that sense that you should be, a standard bearer because of the ties or the affiliation to the legacy of a club. But then you stray so far away from it with this blockbuster wage, and it's just like you don't embody what this club is. You don't know it. You don't know this club. I mean, it
Tradition.
doesn't get Lion Bar Hot Fuzz 44, mate. I don't need a Lion Bar. I've probably got about 10 Lion Bars all sat in here without the extras, just all chocolate. But, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where's your
Hey,
chocolate? Where's your chocolate milk, Wolf? Where's your chocolate milk? Are you drinking
Dude.
chocolate milk?
No, I have chocolate milk downstairs, but you got to remember, I dashed in from work. So I literally got a drink of something. I think it was a coffee, and I ran straight up here to get onto Tony's stream. But yes, my chocolate milk is in the fridge.
Well,
It is there.
make sure to drink that for me, boss. Well, actually, you need to save it for the watch along, maybe.
Yeah, I'll save it for watch along. In that case, if we lose, I can pour it to my homies.
I have to get a glass when the next like match review or something. Get a glass that has a chocolate milk glass, but it's got the opponent's logo on it.
Yeah,
So if we get battered, I have to drink out a chocolate milk out of a Chelsea glass or something.
you want to go Lee Gunner and all that kind of thing.
Well, it's a bit more
I
tame. It's a bit more tame
ain't
than
doing no chilies and that throwing up on screen, bro. I'm 38 years old. You'll kill me, bro. Fuzzy, phone me an ambulance.
Not for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But the drink off with the chocolate milk, yeah, I'm game. That sounds safe.
Just have to spike it with some Tabasco sauce and just mix it in a bit. Will take a lot more time to rebuild this club. It will. Had Chinese takeaway for dinner. Oof, disappointing. Get one once in a blue moon. That sucks.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That absolutely sucks. I know it's I've had it once or twice before. The disappointing Chinese takeaway. It's like sometimes crispy chili beef or something.
Hey, wait.
And it's
wait. Before go on, finish what you're gonna say. But there's a question I want to ask you after you finish speaking about your Chinese.
Oh yeah, crispy chili beef. I remember once had me one of those. Now sometimes it does need to be crispy and not soft, chewy. And it's just like, it spoils it just that little bit, takes an edge off the enjoyment for it. But what's your question, man?
Just because obviously you said you wanted to round this up, and I don't want to drawing it out. As the Man United fan, and me being as a Chelsea fan, let's quickly analyze each other's teams quickly the other way around because we've just spoken about what we thought are on our own team. You tell me what you think Chelsea's biggest threat are.
Ooh. Chelsea's biggest threat, I think, to be honest, probably a Raheem Sterling, probably as far as I'm concerned, because I think it was Rajat saying that Sterling's pace isn't a threat to United. I disagree with that because if you've got Maguire in that back line, you saw it against Galatasaray, just a little bit of pace is enough to get him behind. And, I mean, who would your front two be?
Sterling and Jackson, or Sterling and Broja.
So if you have, so if you start with that sort of a front two, where it's like you get somewhat elements of both worlds as a target man with a bit of pace, but then you've got your agile dribbler that plays and feeds off.
Sterling will have Maguire on the post, mate. I'm telling you.
He'll turn him inside out. I mean, unless he plays more wide and goes up against Wan-Bissaka, it might be a bit of a tougher game because Wan-Bissaka's like brilliant with one-on-one defending to a man. But I'll tell you what, switching the players as well, we just never deal with that well. Maybe Luke Shaw can compensate for pace from Jackson or Sterling, maybe, but Harry Maguire is a susceptible target for me that I think he's going to get found out, or if it's Lindelof starting next to him, God, it's going to be a long afternoon trying to, or
But you
evening
see my
trying to.
logic, though. You see why I said about maybe spring a surprise on United.
Yeah, I think with the midfield as well. Manchester United's midfield, McTominay disappears. Mainoo's isolated. Bruno Fernandes is just running off to do whatever he does. If you've got Enzo, Caicedo, if he's playing, whoever else, I know it's not going to be Gallagher because he's now suspended for this game, but whoever else it is you have in that midfield, does not matter the combination, your midfield battle's instantly won. Instantly. It's a
Potentially.
3 versus 1 essentially. Scott McTominay doesn't do the business. If Amrabat's starting, can have a conversation a bit then. But we get so isolated, and I think that favours so many teams. And for a team like Chelsea and the football that they play, it makes your job moving from second to final third easier.
Yeah, transitions are much
And
quicker.
if that job gets made easier for you, you're laughing your way to the bank. It's
we can't
getting those. Well, you might not be able to defend, but what about with our midfield again? From our
Highland
defence,
out on the way, or he'll do a combination of all three. He'll do a good. I just think because Man United always play well against us, always.
well, I mean, last time at Old Trafford we beat you 4-1, which was I think the last home game of the season, and that was with a team, not too dissimilar from players that we have
I
now.
remember,
But it's for me, it's that mentality shift. It can't be ignored. The way in which this team has seemingly just fallen out with trying to do or pull their weight like they tried to do last season. Like you saw a contingent of players that were just elite for Manchester United. Martinez Varane partnership at centre back, Casemiro in front of them. That little triangle there for a spine. You just wanted someone to partner Casemiro to make it a quad and make it almost nigh on impenetrable. Everybody else was just its own problem. But for me, Chelsea, I think there's too much quality to speak of for United in that midfield compartment to deal with. As far as your defence is concerned, I think if Al build up from the back, because Andre Onana again, this guy, hot and cold, very hot and cold. For me, we bought him to be the ball playing goalkeeper. That's not the case. That's not the case. The guy's distribution is not good. Now that's crazy because his distribution should be good, but it's not. And you look at the centre backs that he's got to work with, and a lot of people, analytics are saying, look at the way in which when he passes to a centre back, what's the centre back partner doing? Where's the full back? What's the centre mid doing? Where's the defensive midfielder going? What's the shape? And a lot of the time comparing it to other ball playing goalkeepers to centre backs, you can see a lot of different movements from people going to ideal positions to open for the passing lane. We're not building out from the back with Andre Onana the way we should be. So we are essentially forcing Onana to play off a longer ball to try and get it up to a target man to bring it down to bring the rest of the team into play. But that's not what his specialty is. He's not. If that's what we're trying to do, why do we get rid of David De Gea? We wanted ball playing specialties. We've now stopped playing balls. We don't intend to play ball playing specialty football.
It's just the latest fad, bro. Do you remember when everyone had a centre back that could do the same? We had that David Luiz. He was this shit defensively, but he was this almighty ball playing centre back. He could push up into the midfield and spray the. It's just the latest fad, bro. It's crap. It's just shit. It really is.
Yeah, man. Big up Deals at CFC. Hope you're doing well, man.
So like and sub to this guy, by the way. If you've not like and sub to Fuzzy and you're on my channel, please do, man. He's a good mate of mine and like a top lad. So please, if you're watching this on my channel, sub to Fuzzy. Like his stream, please.
Yeah, big ups, man. If you are also on this channel as well, watching the stream, link to Wolfgang Division's channel is in the title. So literally easy, one click away. It's also streaming to his location as well. So do be sure to like his stream, whether it be on playback or watch it live. All of that good stuff, and subscribe. How close are you from 100 subs, by the way?
I don't know. 1 minute, I'll look. In fact, hang on, Rosie. I'm just about to post it. There's the link. If you're on my channel, Rosie, there's the link to Fuzzies. 1 second. I'm going onto my YouTube right now. My channel. I'm on 94.
Nice. So 6 subs away. Get it done, people. Get Wolfgang Division
Any help?
into 100 sub club. Get him in the club. All that good stuff. We're going to wrap this up as quickly as I can, people. So I'm going to rifle through these comments as super quick as I can. And there was a lot. I'm still behind quite a long way a ways. We both off standards this season. Just a question, asked Man United fan about the Glazers and Sergio Ratcliffe. You reckon you will still keep Ten Hag? To be honest, not too sure. Rumor has it that they want to stick with Ten Hag to build a new project with him, but you never know. It's the devil's going to be in the details, so I'll have to see how that goes. Marcus Cratford, Marcus Rashford, and all that good stuff. Glazers have no interest. No, they don't. If we're playing Maguire tomorrow and Lindelof at the back, who's Man United fans see us as our threat? Well, anybody that's half decent and with a bit of pace. We'll play a high line. We'll try to play a high line. We've got no pace. One ball over the top and you're in. It's going to be peak, but never had a disappointing Chinese. Lucky, I'd say. Wolf, without Gallagher, do you reckon we should not press them?
Yes, I do think we should press them, but we think we should press them from the front and not the midfield.
Well, just press us in general because we look uncomfortable on the ball when we're under press. We'll panic it. We'll play a wrong pass. We'll overhit something. Anana will probably boot the ball out of play for a throw and then turn over possession. Just press anywhere. It's going to be difficult. Marcus Alonso's Chelsea's biggest threat, but he's not there anymore. I'm Scottish, so we do salt and chili, crisps and batter. So,
there you go, Rosie. You did mention it.
Always, but turned up without sauce. Oh, what's Chinese without sauce, eh? What is a Chinese without sauce?
Dry.
Really dry. We're going to need Enzo Caicedo on the ball as much tomorrow. Yep, 100% agree. I'd say Jackson's absolute weapon, not in a dangerous way, though. But say where you call someone a tool, what absolute weapon. I mean, where's that insult come from? Who's managed to turn weapon into an insult? Damn, you're an absolute weapon.
I did get it. It's not like no, bro. I'm sitting here bricking it. Remember, you're the Spurs fan thinking, "Oh, I ain't got nothing at stake tomorrow." I'm thinking, "Damn, my dodgy team's going to Old Trafford tomorrow." It's just a different mentality. That's the whole. I got the joke. I'm still bricking it though.
Palmer in the 10. Palmer's a good shout, actually.
I said that earlier, but with obviously maybe Mudryk on the left and obviously Sterling on the right.
Yeah, if we play like how we did at Manchester City, we'll beat you tomorrow. I'm pretty convinced of it. I don't see us creating chances the same way Manchester City will. I mean, they can create chances on a dime, but I just find them sometimes.
Hoyland will turn up, bro. Hoyland will turn up tomorrow. I've just got this bad feeling, bro. He's going to turn up. So will Luke Shaw. Deal's just put it in there. Somehow Luke Shaw will be fit and he'll put in his like mind-boggling performance.
Yeah. Scott McTominay's going to get like a brace inside like the 5 minutes of the game starting.
No, none of that.
Our offense is better than United's.
Questionable.
As far as defensive organisation goes, I would probably say that we are hot and cold. Chelsea, I think there's some good, some bad. I think our problems.
The difference between our defense and theirs is Thiago Silva. Theirs isn't fit all the time as in Varane, where ours is somehow at 40. That's the difference. Seriously.
I'd say I'd fancy our defense to be better than yours if we had Martinez and Varane both fit. Like hands down, I'd say Man United's defense got to be better than Chelsea's. But I mean, we'll be probably stuck with someone like Harry Maguire Luke Shaw centre back partnership. If
You've got Leicester's centre back pairing from 5 years ago. I don't know how that's happened. I really don't.
I have no idea. Bruno Fernandes and Rashford's pace can still be a threat. I mean, Rashford. The problem with Rashford is that just close off the doors. He'll just run into you. It's like trying to walk down Oxford Street and thinking Rashford's like, oh, I know, I'm going to run 100 meters in a straight line down a packed out Oxford Street on Christmas Eve.
Good luck.
You're probably going to take out half of London with you.
Hmm.
No, it's not going to work.
That's why they never filmed The Matrix in London, you see. You know that bit with Neo's running from the edge? He wouldn't have to fucking run for a start. He would have got him ages ago.
Everyone, it'd just be absolute carnage. You played us last time when we had Lampard. We didn't have full team against you. Then we have half full team now. I mean, with what team you've got now, I still think there's a lot of impact players that are either injured or suspended. I think for you, it's the players that you have got. Pochettino has got like there's a simplicity that you could play here that would be good enough to see home a result. But don't rest on your laurels, because United could, out of nowhere, from an individual basis, just gut punch you. From an individual standpoint, just out of nowhere, gut punch.
Garnacho with Everton.
It can happen. So I would say, as long as your boss gets you drilled up defensively and defensively, you should be all set. To be honest, what do you all think of Nkunku and Lavia not coming back?
I don't think anything, because I'm one of those ones that I'm just worried about who's there, not who's not. So I don't think anything. If they're not there, they're not there. That's it. I hate it because all this again, no one hates this crap about the 1 billion we've spent more than the Chelsea fans. Trust me. Half of these wonderful players don't even play most of the time, and don't get me started on Wesley Fofana. You paid Leicester 80 million for Maguire. We paid them 80 million for Fofana. Don't think we don't feel your pain.
Ten Hag got back to you, messed up your setting. I think there's some elements where you can say Ten Hag's method, or madness to his method, I think maybe is one way of putting it. But at the same time, look at everything else that's going on. It's like, well, if it was Pep Guardiola, we'd still be in the same boat. If it's Jurgen Klopp, would still be in the same boat. It's these players and the people above the manager that have allowed players to get away with doing what they're doing. So it's just, as long as we cut the snake's head off. I was quite excited about them coming back tomorrow, but they're not.
That's why I don't think about it.
Yeah. The Sanchez distribution, I'm worried of. Well, we never know. I think it could be one of those where goalkeepers try to do something, and
He was right against Brighton, by the way. He went too bad. I felt sorry for Sanchez because he just got left exposed at times by his defense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a link in your channel there. What does a Man United fan think of money we spent on?
His name's Fuzzy. Don't refer he's a Man United fan. You've got a name, you know.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. But what do I think of you spending youngsters mainly? I mean, there's there's positives to signing on players for your future, but you've got to balance it out. You can't just go youngster heavy. It's
Chelsea.
It's not ideal unless it's a money making exercise like was it Johnny Minerals, land in the minerals, but
Chelsea. Oh my god, what's the Chelsea? Oh no.
Yeah, that guy, Johnny Minerals, he's absolutely hilarious, man. Love him. But just missed mine out, so not interesting. Can't lie, with the money we spent, we should be up there. We spent in some wrong areas. I can see good signings: Caicedo, Enzo, and Lavia, and Nkunku, and Gusto, and Wesley Fofana, and Sterling Palmer. That's a new one. But there are some good players in that Chelsea team. I just think that the profile to what you've recruited has been a bit too inexperience heavy. It needs a bit more of like a maybe someone who's got a strong character. Signing a strong character in the team.
Leader.
Now, I suppose with some players that you've got younger guys that have come in, they've got strong characters, not leadership cut yet, but people who aren't afraid to to bear the torch for Chelsea, and I think that's good. But you're missing the sort of the cooler
The
heads in there
experience.
that have
It's the experience.
yeah. Joke went over Wolfie's head. I can't remember what joke that was,
No,
but
he's talking about, he's talking about,
oh,
the
the
Marcus
weapon.
Alonso joke. Yeah, the Marcus
Oh,
Alonso joke. But I told him there's a difference when you're in it compared to when you're in the tent in the hurricane, opposed to when you're out the tent of the hurricane. you know?
um,
Oh, you see, you went through.
you reckon you'll keep Luke Shaw playing centre back? Probably.
I hope
Probably.
so.
I got a split, guys. Got a lecture. See you in a few hours. No worries, man. We'll. I finally caught up with the chat. Just about. What do you think of Varane's situation? Apparently petty. I'm hoping it gets resolved. If not, then obviously, hopefully it's if you sell Varane, let him go in January. Hopefully we're signing someone else to come in, good availability, good quality, and offers us something that's decent for our centre back position.
You should have got
Something
Figgy
to
from-
bench.
Who was that centre back Bayern got that you guys were? Who was it again?
Kim and Jay.
Yeah, you should have got him, and then your problems might have been a lot. Yeah, that was unlucky. You missed out on the target.
Supposedly we're like written in for Todibo though. Hopefully, Garnacho pace we've got to watch out for. I think it's just in Garnacho in general, whatever it is he's doing, because he tries a lot of things. Whether it comes off or not is its own issues. But Garnacho, I appreciate Garnacho because he just tries everything. Like within 90 minutes, he's tried a little bit of absolutely everything for me. Whereas Rashford, I think he's just so one-dimensional and not really got a football intelligence.
Yeah,
Garnacho,
explosiveness.
yeah, Garnacho, and a fighter attitude. I mean, the way in which the guy squares up to Galatasaray elites, like the ultras of Galatasaray, like what the fuck are the balls on this guy? man's,
Lots of brains.
man's literally not even 20 years of age, and he's squaring up to a fan base that would happily skewer this guy's head. Ridiculous balls on him, man. But what does Wolf think about discipline in this team?
Needs to improve, but it's not really surprise considering how young they all are. We'll get better with time.
Oh mate, have you seen this? Jackson talking to Astrid Wet. Oh my days.
You know what makes me laugh is that's just youngster crap, man. He's 22 years of old. He doesn't always think with the head on top. Put it that way.
Oh man, what's the difference you seen in your team from last season to this season of us? Players throwing in the towel, giving up on the fans, giving up on the manager, giving up on the club. Goldilocks FC. They want everything their way, man. They want everything their way, and that never works. It's never a recipe to work at any football club ever. So that's the biggest difference for me. The squad's not too far different, but my God, the heads have gone. The heads have gone for a lot of players. Guys, take care. Fingers crossed for tomorrow. I'm holding fingers crossed for United. But yeah, man, that's pretty much we're going to wrap the show up there. Quick fire scoreline predictions for me: 2-1 to Chelsea. For yourself,
2-2.
2-2. That'll be our first draw for United, and you know what? I'll be welcoming-ish of a draw at the moment. Big ups, lads. Easy off. We'll catch up.
My blue bro. Good
to meet you two, Deals. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Always a pleasure to have you guys in the chat. Make sure to like and subscribe. We are on 121. Somebody has unsubbed. We were on 122, but never mind. We
It
will
was
regain.
me. You getting ahead of me, you get.
Oh, yeah,
No, I'm playing.
motherfucker.
I'm playing.
You motherfucker.
Motherfucker. Sorry.
But big ups to everybody dropping in to the chat. There has been a very lively
And in
stream.
my chat as well. Thank you.
Yeah, very very lively stream. If you're over on this channel on Hovers 44, the link to Wolfang Division's channel is in the title. Do be sure to go like and subscribe on his stream as well, and show him some love. Wolf, what's apart from watch alongs tomorrow about similar time as the Arsenal game today? Um, Anything else noteworthy coming up for the rest of the week?
Yeah, weekend. I've got my boy Bance on with me. We're doing the Bance and Wolfie show, football show. We're gonna go delve into a
Nice.
few issues there. We're gonna have maybe a conversation. We might. We're gonna be careful about what we speak about yet, because obviously we got fixtures to finish. So we're gonna see what happens with the results tomorrow night. Then we'll delve into the conversation about what's happened. Luckily, refereeing decisions haven't played too much of a part in tonight's fixtures. So
Mm.
hopefully more of the same tomorrow, please. But
Yeah.
yeah, I hope, and maybe you might even see yourself over there as well. So who knows?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But it has been a pleasure. Thank you very, very much for joining me on this preview, Wolf. It's been a pleasure as always. The watch along, if there's going to be anything watch along with me present on it, it'll be over on Wolfgang Division's channel. He will be hosting that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more other Chelsea fans on there, so it's going to be a bit of a raucous atmosphere for me, especially if it does end
Everyone will treat you with the utmost respect, otherwise they'll deal with me. End of story. I don't care if he's a Man United my fan. He's my friend. You take him on, you take me on. Simple.
Mate, I'll probably end up getting popcorn to watch my team get slapped up. I'll do what Lee does. And
Bro, we're thinking the
Gonna
same
laugh.
rugby, dude. Right, I can see right now from the Chelsea camp with all the chats I'm in, right, we're up and down right now with how you, bro, we're exactly the same. We're both in exactly the same boats. The only difference is our teams are a little less complete than in the others in certain ways. So yeah, man, it's battle of the crappiest at the minute.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care. Goodbye. We'll see you again very, very soon. Next time you'll see me on this channel will be for the match reaction, which maybe we can do a fan cam with Wolfgang as well. The opposition fan cam. Maybe do it as a pre-record video, so it's a bit short, sweet, easy for people to.
No, you just need to not worry about the chat if you want to get the pro. Not,
Wow.
you're a good. No, you're a good host. That's that. That's what it is. You're a good host.
But yeah, big ups, man. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, and we'll speak to you again real soon. Laters.